So the question is, was this a floating sphere before we got here and God just repurposed it? Or did God intentionally create the earth for us? And I would say, I literally don't know. I don't have the answer for that. I would be giving you a best guess, and that's just
an honest
opinion.
Yeah, that's the honest answer. The reason I say this is because a lot of people say that everything is so perfect, nature works so perfectly, but once we really look at nature, I mean, we're on a mediocre stellar planar system with a sun that's one day going to probably destroy us all. And I mean, M31 is on its way to destroy us. And I mean, about 180,000 years ago, we almost went extinct. And I don't see that being a perfect environment at all. So I find that a very interesting way of describing perfect creation.
My answer to that would be, and that makes really, really solid, is a lot of everybody's ideas about theology is constantly predicated on a very specific purpose. Like somebody will say, if God is all powerful, all knowing, and he's all good, then why would he behave this way? And I swear, this has stumped people so many times. It's so funny because you have to look at it in context. I say, oh, well, what's the purpose of God? What's his objective? And what's our purpose as people? What's our objective? The reason why that's important is because you only know the nature of things, I would say, by and large, not all, but loosely, is the nature of things are defined by their purpose. Like, well, that's a police officer. They're a bad cop. Well, how do you know that? Well, you would have to know the purpose of a police officer and then look at their behavior based on that purpose. Well, this person is a good manager, like this person's a bad scientist. Okay, how do you know? Well, I know the purpose of a scientist, and this person does not follow that purpose. The way that they try to investigate, the way that they practice, is so flawed. It's so loopy. It's so bad. You have people like Arthur Kinsey. You have people, there are scientists out there who published things that now we know their process was so littered with horrible scientific practices that their evidence and their findings were just garbage. Like any other scientist would go, no, this is stupid. Like this is trying to do chemistry in a lab where people are making sandwiches, and eating, like there would be so much corruption and so much and so you can decide that a scientist is bad based on their purpose. And so I would say that a lot of people...
Did you ever attribute a purpose to God?
100%. God is really clear about what his purpose is and what our purpose is. And that ends up making a lot of difference. A lot of people think that our purpose is to be happy. Like God created us like a pet. And so that we are just, God isn't doing a good job because I'm not safe, happy, I don't have everything that I want, and babies die, and that's just evil. And it's like, well, that's very narcissistic, like, that's not, like, nobody looks at nature as being evil because earthquakes happen, because we know the purpose of nature. We look at it and we go, yeah, the planet is just being itself. Like, this is what Earth does. Tectonic plates are shifting. Tsunamis are happening because of that. This is the nature of our planet. So it's not evil. When people look at the nature of God or the nature of people, then you begin to understand, but that's the purpose of people, the purpose of God. The purpose of the earth has a very specific purpose. And when you look at that, you're just like, well, it's constantly, that's why the tectonic plates shift. That's why even the sun has a very specific purpose, and that's why one day it will burn out, is because it's burning fuel. That's what the sun does. It burns fuel. That's like, it does other things, but that's what the sun does. The moon does not burn fuel, like that's not its purpose. So the nature of things usually gets, but that's why I was saying is, I believe that creation is very, very, very flawed now because of the existence of sin, which is corruption, But I believe that creation in its entirety is perfect, because when you look at Earth, this is the last thing I'll say. When you look at Earth, man, it's really garbage. But when you look at the universe, where people are not, the rest of the universe, in my opinion, is flawless and amazing and incredible. Like the way that other planetary systems run and the way that they exist, the way that they hang in balance, the way that all of these different things. But when you come to Earth, that's where you introduce all of this insane chaos that makes things terrible, suffering, all of that other stuff. And that's because there's something that the universe doesn't have that we do, and that's people. And that's evil.
But it's interesting because, I mean, the universe is the thing that I've studied, and it's a very tragic story to me, because every second celestial body either dies out or it's honestly, there's so few stellar systems that are very beautiful and those things that ever last for a long time. I mean, things just blow up, it becomes supernova, and it becomes purposeless. So maybe the argument could be there are different sins that the universe committed because it's also getting destroyed. I mean, I understand your perspective and I respect it, but I will tell you that my perspective of the universe is I love the universe, but I mean, goodness, it's one big failing lump of everything. And that's just looking at it. It's all destroying itself constantly.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, that's when it becomes like art and interpretation. What you see is like purposeless and chaos. Somebody else could be like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." You know,
I don't see any purpose stuff just becoming dust. I don't see any purpose in that, but I mean,
no, that's fine.
People could argue that that's
I get that. Yeah, but again, that's an interpretation of I don't see any purpose in things becoming dust. That's where you get to come in and say, I don't see that, and somebody else could say, oh, I do. It's a whole other discussion. I don't disagree with you. You're not wrong. I'm just saying I get that for sure. So.
All right. No, the only reason I'd say that make this distinguishment is because you say that sin is the cause of the destruction of the world, which is the story of the Tanakh, which I also find kind of problematic, but I think I've taken too much time to address that.
Okay.
But I do, if you're interested, you could go and look me up on ResearchGate. I've published a few things about the whole fall of man as a result of sin being kind of a anti-Semitic rhetoric. But I mean, that's your...
Yeah, no, I believe the Bible is a redemption story, because I am a Jew, and for me, I can see how, it does seem, that's definitely a way to look at it. It's very anti-Semitic, but for me, I don't look at it as the Jews being the problem for it, because the Jews were not a people until way after Adam and Eve. Like, the Jews became like a people that God gave an identity to, but the fall of man happened before the Jews were the Jews. So but I see the Bible as a redemption story where in the end, everything comes together, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, Jesus fixes everything, it's awesome. And the universe, all of it dies and gets remade into something perfect and eternal. But right now we exist in something that, will burn out, it will fade, it will die, it will explode, it will crumble in on itself. And God will remake something new that's perfect and eternal where everything is awesome. And we see that evident in the universe. The universe is not eternal. It is crumbling in on itself. It is dying. It's exploding. It's ending. It's dying. And there you go. So, this was so much fun. And you gave me so much to think about. And there's so much more that I want to look into. I'm not, it's amazing. I super do it. So, oh no, I lost you. I hope your phone didn't cut out. But this is amazing. You guys are awesome. Oh, you're still here. Okay. Your little icon went away, and that happens when like somebody's phone dies or they get disconnected. So I'm glad you're still here. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm so glad I got to talk to you. Yeah, it's a really good conversation. I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Sure. Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you for coming in. All right, guys. We're here. I need a second. My wife came in. I want to go check on something. I also want to take a bathroom break. Bathroom break. I just want to make sure I'm being a good dad if my wife needs help with not help. If our baby is in need of me as its dad, I want to make sure that I am there for him. I'm going to go take a bathroom break, and I will be back in a minute. I got to go check on things, and if I can continue doing live, great. If not, I'll hop off, and I'll be back in a couple of hours. So there we go. You guys are so brilliant. I love the chat. Like, your questions and your comments. They're freaking amazing. I'll be back, guys.
No?